Hi everyone, my name is Melanie, Math Content Specialist here at Zinkers. Let's take a look at another digital SAT question and how we can use Desmos to help us solve it. This question says, the function g is defined by g of x equals x times x minus 2 times x plus 6 squared. The value of g of 7 minus w is 0, where w is a constant. What is the sum of all possible values of w? So certainly this question can be done a couple of ways. We notice that the value of 7 minus w makes this entire function equal to 0. So we could use that fact to kind of help us work with the factors that were given of this function. But I do think that Desmos might be helpful for us to play around with a slider and see if we can figure out some values of w that make this true. So I'm going to start by coming over here to Desmos and plugging in my function. Totally fine to call it g. And I'm just going to keep typing it in as I see it. And then I'm also going to type in g of 7 minus w. It's going to prompt me to add a slider, so I'll do that. And then what I'm seeing here is that if I play around with this value of w, if I move the slider around, what I'm getting is different values of g of 7 minus w, right? So what it's doing is plugging 7 minus w in for each value of x here, and then playing around with different values of w to see what happens. What we're mostly focused on is where g of 7 minus w makes that value equal to 0. So the value I'm looking for here is, here you can see it's 2,545 and a little bit more. I want that to be 0. So, and we can see here, what is the sum of all possible values of w? That might be a hint to us that there's more than one value of w that's going to make g of 7 minus w equal to 0. So let's see what we can find out here. I'm going to start by just increasing my range a little bit. Usually that's kind of helpful. The default is negative 10 to 10. I like to bump it a little bit more just so I have some more room. And now I'm just going to play around, move this a little bit, and see what's happening. So what I notice is that as I move my value of w smaller, so -4, -5, -6, smaller and smaller and smaller, I'm getting larger values of g of 7 minus w, right? Here I have 74,000. If I go out even more, 176,000. I'm not getting any closer to 0. In fact, I'm getting further away from 0. So I'm going to try to move the other way. I'm going to move a little bit positive and see what happens to my numbers, or my value of g of 7 minus w. Here I'm back down to 11,000. I'm going to keep going, see what happens. I am getting smaller and smaller, closer to 0. Let's keep going. Here I notice when I make w equal to 5, I do have g of 7 minus w equal to 0. So I'm going to make note of that over here. I know that one value is w is equal to 5. Okay, let's scroll a little bit more and see what happens to that value. So -36, -49, that value is getting smaller and smaller. And look here, another place where g of 7 minus w is equal to 0. All I had to do was kind of keep slowly moving that value on my slider, and I can see that also when w equals 7, I also have g of 7 minus w equal to 0. Let's keep going a little bit more just to make sure there's nothing else. We can see my value of g of 7 minus w getting bigger, bigger. And then here it comes back down and is getting smaller, right? 111, 96, 78, smaller, smaller, smaller. Maybe I can get it closer to 0. Let's go a little bit more. Here again at w equals 13, I also have a value where that is equal to 0. Let's just check a little bit more. If I get bigger, all that's happening here is that number is going to get bigger. I can even make this 20 or even 25 and kind of show you that that's what's going to keep happening. This number is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, 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 not getting any smaller, not getting closer to 0. So I know that my three possible values of w are 5 and 7 and 13. So what happens when I add those up? Again, I'm trying to find the sum of all those values. 5 plus 7 plus 13 equals 25. And that is our answer. Is there another question that you want to see? Make sure to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like and follow our channel for more digital SAT questions.